Hello, it's Jennifer from the Village Leaders here, and I am with Deb and Anne, and we're having our Wednesday Village Leaders catch up. And we were just having a discussion about stress and having the sense of stress. And I put the question to Deb and Anne to say, well, what is stress for you? Like, can you define stress? And so they've had at least a minute to think about that, their answer to that. I've had about 10 years to think about it. So I'm going to share my definition of stress first. And then Deb and Anne are going to share their definition. But we wanted to encourage you to think about what is stress for you, because we think it is a very individual thing. And also, can you redefine stress for yourself so that it doesn't have impact, or at least a strong impact in your life, or that you know when stressful events are happening and you can start to learn how to manage them. So my definition when I defined stress was that it was when too much information or expectations were coming at me, so I was feeling a bit overwhelmed by that. Things that were not going as I had initially expected them to go. Things when I was seeing or experiencing aggressive or negative language or actions from someone else. When I could feel a negative vibe around me or in the room, that would I'd feel a sense of distress from that. And something that was very distressful for me is seeing others suffer. I'd feel a sense of that. And then feeling that I was in an environment where I was feeling uncomfortable or afraid was my definition of stress. So now I'm going to hand over to who wants to take it on and do their definition, that you've had so much time to think about it.
You ready, Anne?
Yeah, okay. I'll just dive right in here. Okay, stress is a very individual. The way we react to stress is very individual, and the way we interpret stress for ourselves is really very individual as well. So for me, stress can be caused by many things in life, and at the moment with COVID and all the lockdowns and restrictions, adds a whole nother layer on top of just normal everyday life to kind of create a more stressful environment for everyone. So for me, stress is everyone. First of all, I say everyone has stress in their life, and stress is normal. And you need to have a level of stress to be able to operate and function. So don't think that all stress is bad for you. It's really when stress becomes, as Jen said, a sense of being overwhelmed, that it starts to throw things out of kilter. So I always think of stress and life, things happening in life, on a bit of a continuum, if you like. And when we can go along okay, and that sort of balancing act of stress and life kind of can be fairly much level. But if something throws one or the other out, that can create stress. And when I have found for myself that if you're stressed in, say, your work environment, and you're stressed in your home environment, so essentially you're stressed in different areas of your life, that throws everything out. And that's when I notice for myself that, okay, now I'm recognizing that this is more than I can cope with, and I have to do something to get some sense of normality back in one section of my life, whether that's my personal, home, family, or whether that's work, or what I'm doing outside of the family. So it's about trying to find that right balance. And first of all, it's recognizing that things are out of kilter, recognizing that it's uncomfortable, and you usually have a physical as well as a psychological reaction to that. And also then planning for, okay, what do I need to do right now to get this back into an even kilter? What can I do right now? And it might be something as simple as learning to just do some deep breathing, or some relaxation type of techniques to get you into a calmer place so that you can actually function. And then there's some other strategies that you can do, like for tomorrow and the next day. But I won't go into all that now. I think it's just recognizing those things for yourself is so important. So Deb, back to you.
I think I am just a slight control freak. So again, it is about that. Most stress for me is caused when things don't go the way I planned.
Yeah.
I think it's more frustration, and I guess, you know, with what you've both said, it is like stress is such a broad term that, and we were talking before about, you know, what actually is it? Is it frustration? Is it anxiety? Is it overwhelm? What's the actual emotion or feeling that's underneath the stress? And I think for me, it normally is frustration that I had a plan and things are not happening to the plan, and now how do I get things back to where I think they should be?
Yeah.
So it's my expectations about how things should be.
Yeah.
So from talking with a lot of people lately, you know, I hear a lot about uncertainty. People feeling this constant low-level sense of uncertainty and anxiety, which is caused by, you know, we don't know what's happening from day to day in the world with COVID, and people will call it stress, but again, you know, what actually is it? Is it that sense of uncertainty or anxiety, or which again comes back to control, that there's so much in the world now that we can't control. We can't control what's going to happen to our holidays, or whether or not we're going to go into lockdown and those kinds of things. So yeah, for me it comes back again to just being okay with not being in control. And I also know that I do, like you said, I need a level of stress. Sometimes the most stressful thing for me is to not have anything to do that creates this stress. So but recognizing at what level is it challenging, and then when does it tip over to becoming
feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, and putting me at a disadvantage. Yeah.
But the thing is, what do we do about it then?
Yeah. Well, I when I was learning to think about stress and really think about it, it was actually learning to think about, you know, what physically happens in my body, and a lot of those feelings of stress are actually the same feelings as excitement.
Yes.
And so learning to go, oh, okay, so I might be thinking that I'm stressed about this because it's important to me, and so I'm feeling, you know, I'm having physical feelings about it. If I can just flip my mindset about this and go, I'm not stressed, I'm actually excited, it puts me into a different mind state, and I can move forward with a lot of things a lot quicker. And with practice, I think I am far more often in an excited mind state and physical state than a stressed mind state. Now I know that does chemical things to my body that are good to me, versus staying in a mindset interpreting these feelings as stress. But then there's lots of other things to do. It's going, okay, maybe I do actually need to do a circuit breaker here, because there is something that I've genuinely put myself under a bit of stress, and I need to drop some of that back down a little bit.
I heard a great story about Bruce Springsteen, that before Bruce Springsteen goes onto stage, he gets sweaty palms, he feels anxious, his throat goes dry, and most of us would interpret that as negative feelings about public speaking. He interprets that as excitement. When he feels all of those things, he knows he's ready to go on and perform. They're the things that give him the energy and the fuel to be able to perform well. So he reads it as excitement rather than danger.
So that's for anyone who wants to look it up, that's actually called eustress, which is EUSTRESS, which is positive stress, that we each need to be able to achieve things in life, you know. And that's why I say not all stress is bad for you. We need to have stress if we're going to achieve any goals. But I think that, you know, from this discussion, I think it's really important to keep in mind what are those things that, you know, you have control over, that you can actually make some changes in. It might be about if you're getting really stressed about a particular event, you might be able to do some things to prepare for it, talk to someone, get some support. But it might be something that you can decide to not do right now, do it later, which is got to be careful, because that can be an avoidance strategy as well. But I think it's just about important to identify what are some strategies and what are some things that you can do that actually help to bring those heightened stress levels down to a lower level. And it might be as simple as, you know, talking to someone, a friend, you know, might be just having a bit of a circuit breaker, go and make yourself a cuppa, breathe, and just realise, control the things you can control, and those things you can't. You can't really allow yourself to become so overly stressed and anxious about them, because that doesn't help you. It doesn't change the situation. So it's about you recognising those things for yourself. That's the key, really. Yeah.
And sometimes getting another perspective, as you said, if you talk to a friend and they give you another perspective on what you're thinking, so it does help to change your mindset. So you can recognise, okay, I'm trying to control things that I can't control.
Yeah.
Or I'm going round and round in circles, expecting things to be a certain way, and they're just not going to be that way.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
just, who wants to wind
Well,
up
that's-
Thank you everyone. We know we haven't talked to you for a long time. We've been slightly busy with some other things, but we're not stressed about them. They're not all going to plan, but they're all going perfectly well. So it's good to be able to be back and talk with you again.
Yeah. It's been a while, so it's good to be back in touch with you again, and we're always really open to any ideas and suggestions for topics that you might be really interested to hear about from us.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Bye from the Willing Speakers.
Bye.
Bye.